Well, when a thing like this happens, all kinds of conspiracy theories start. And it is but natural for people to suspect that China and Pakistan are behind this agitation. Now, two or three things are very important here. One is that Sheikh Hasina had a rather bad visit to China just before this agitation started. She came back and the agitation started soon thereafter. Uh, the Jamaat, which is one of these forces involved in the protests, is very close to Pakistan. So this feeling that Pakistan and China are behind this agitation has a certain degree of validity in the minds of people who suspect that. I've seen some reports talking about the CIA being behind it, because there have been reports earlier that the UK and the US were unhappy with Sheikh Hasina over the elections and the neutrality of the elections that were held earlier this year. So there are all kinds of conspiracy theories. Now, I don't think one can accuse China and the US of colluding in the agitation. So obviously, only one of the two theories can be correct, if at all. But I agree with Mahfouz Anam that the fact that the last elections were very highly controversial had started this trend. The fact that these elections, Sheikh Hasina had stopped the practice of a caretaker government conducting the elections. And the elections held thereafter were naturally questioned. And the last elections, the turnout was extremely low, which would have led to the belief that the people were not happy. So this was coming, and I think there is a reservation issue, and I'm certain that the visit to China that did not go well, and also the fact that over the last couple of years, Bangladesh's economy has not been doing too well because the global economy itself has been affected. So all these factors put together, I think, gave strength to the agitation that started. And then, of course, the immediate trigger being what Mahfouz said about the firings and the killings, which led to the situation getting out of control. But we must remember that this kind of these such agitations are very common in Bangladesh, and Sheikh Hasina would be reminded of what had happened to her family and her father when they entered the house the last time, 1975. So there are reports that her son called her up and said, "You must leave the country," because he was perhaps scared for her safety. So these are
Yeah.
all factors that would have weighed in on her before she decided to flee the country.
Can I ask you though, before I go to General Hasnain? She's in India. We now officially know that. It's been rather vaguely described as a short stay. I can't imagine India would be very comfortable providing her an extended period of refuge. I'm guessing here. What do you think, Ambassador Sinha?
I don't know why, because she's been here in India earlier also. She's lived here. The Awami League people periodically take shelter in India. So it's not as if the fact that people from Bangladesh take shelter in India is unknown. It's happened in the past. So I don't see any difficulty in India giving her asylum. But of course, if she wants to migrate to the UK itself has its own set of problems. And I don't think the environment in Europe right now is very, very
Yes,
friendly
that's
to
true. But it's
asylum
interesting.
seekers.
Sorry, I'm sorry, but you're saying that if she so desires, India should not hesitate to give Hasina asylum in India?
I agree with that. Yes, I don't think we should hesitate, because I think we should maintain our attitude of being open to anybody who's politically being persecuted or feels unsafe in a country, in a neighboring country, taking shelter here. We have always held that
Me-
tradition, and we should maintain that.
So if this is a very important point that Ambassador Sinha has just made, that India should give asylum if Hasina should seek it. Mehfooz, in just one sentence, because I need to go to General Hasnain and to Mubashir and to Minakshi, if that were to happen, and I'm not saying it would, because you said that there's no favorable response to even her being here for a short stay, how would it be viewed?
No, I mean, it would be viewed negatively, that it would be viewed as the country that, propped her regime. It will just fall into the narrative, which
Right.
I personally don't subscribe to. India had a very good reason to be very close to Hasina, because it responded to the security questions and all that. But yes, it will be viewed negatively. But may I just ask, just say one question? That obviously,
Yes.
as a country, you have every right to look at the geopolitics. You have to right to look at this and that. But to so quickly when the situation is evolving so quickly, to be talking about Pakistan and China and everybody. I mean, the implicit meaning here is that we Bangladeshis can't do anything for ourselves. It has to be either Pakistan or China or India or America. I mean, listen, we are a very vibrant population. I mean, it's 180. I mean, huge population here.
I should clarify that there is no disrespect meant to the people of Bangladesh. It is just in the talking points of parliament, of the political conversation here.
Barkha, please, why do you just bring this as a talking point so soon? I mean, give some indication. And another thing, please, my request is to my Indian friends that look at Bangladesh from the prism of democracy. Don't look at it from the prism of religion.
Okay. General Hasnain, again, it's not about the people of Bangladesh not having agency, their own will, their own opinions. It's not about all of the points of criticism that have been made by Mahfouz, and some have been agreed to by Ambassador Sinha on what Hasina did wrong. But the point is that I would be lying if I did not point out that Delhi is seriously worried, because in some ways the relationship with Bangladesh and the relationship with Sheikh Hasina had become conflated as the same relationship. Khaleda Zia, the main opponent of Hasina, was and is not seen as a friend of India. Hasina banned the Jamaat. We were told that those restrictions will now lift. The border security force new chief is at the border because there are apprehensions of a spillover. And whether or not there is a Pakistan or China link to the protest, and I take Mahfouz Anam's point, and with absolute humility, the new regime, whatever it looks like in Bangladesh, Delhi is worried that it will be closer to Pakistan and China than to Delhi. I'm just stating a fact. How do you see it?
Thank you, Barkha. Thank you very much. And I'll immediately come to the point made by Mahfouz Saab. Mahfouz Saab, it's not a question of India jumping into this whole thing and drawing conclusions. It's just the very important, the geostrategic importance of Bangladesh. You have to realize that you are sitting on a prime territory, which for us is our eastern flank, the most vulnerable flank of India, where you have Myanmar, Bangladesh, China, our northeast, a single sliver of territory which is the Siliguri corridor. And we've got a look east policy going on at the same time. Bangladesh forms the crucible. It's the fulcrum of this entire policy. Don't you think it's justified that we need to start looking at the moment things start melting down? It's not that we started looking at it yesterday. We were looking at it for the last 2 months, or perhaps more. So I think it's incorrect, strategically incorrect to think that India is jumping into it to make allegations to say that there's a China or a Pakistan angle. Obviously, your territory is so important. Your people are so important. Your nation is so important that there's a compulsion about it that people will want to jump into it. And they will not want to see India very happy about it. They want to see India more vulnerable about it.
So what is the concern right now? So General Hasnain, when Ambassador Sinha says we should not hesitate to give Sheikh Hasina asylum, in a way that would be taking a side in, let's argue this for one moment from Mahfouz Saab's side. Mahfouz Saab is saying the people of Bangladesh have risen against Hasina's authoritarianism. That is how he sees it, right? She did this wrong. She handled this wrong. She's paid the price for it. The protest may not be elegant. There's reprisal violence that has to be called out. But if India takes a side even now, that means he's arguing that we are not respecting the will of the Bangladeshi people. How do you respond to that?
Absolutely. I don't agree with Ambassador Sinha on this myself.
Okay.
In fact, I was sitting and drafting out an article on this very thing, which will be published tomorrow morning. We are between the devil and the deep sea at the moment. There's no doubt about it. But under the current circumstances, our national interest, let's not go on emotions and sentiments. This is all based on national strategic interest. Our national strategic interest at the moment dictates that we need to make cudgels with Bangladesh, with whatever is the emerging leadership in Bangladesh, with the people of Bangladesh, Bangladesh is just too important for India's national security. And therefore, at this moment, for sentiment's sake, for emotion's sake, for a short while, Sheikh Hasina can definitely stay in India. We have had a very long relationship, and I can tell you, I'm a great admirer of her father. I braved a cold winter morning in December 1971 to make sure that I went there to receive Bangabandhu when he came from the airport at Vijay Chowk. Way back in 71. I hold Bangladesh in very high esteem as a country. I've served with your army. I know the kind of professionalism they have. So for me, it is national interest. And that's the way I look at it. And I say, no, we must definitely show our emotional and sentimental side of it too by opening up our doors for some time. But ultimately, Sheikh Hasina has to live somewhere else.
Okay, two very differing views. Ambassador Sinha, don't hesitate to give her an Indian place of refuge. General Hassan saying, for now it's okay, but not in an indefinite way.